going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're actually doing something we've never done before, a cooking video. And this is a cool new series called post-workout. So we actually get a lot of people that are in the fitness industry showing us their post-workout meal, whether that be a cheat meal, something that they just killed a workout and they want to eat a lot of food, or something that they typically eat if they're on prep. So today, since I actually am on a diet now, I'm going to take you guys through what I would consider my post-workout meal to fit my macros. But the cool thing is, this is something that I would actually eat on a daily basis if I'm throwing a party, if I'm just wanting to satisfy myself, or if I'm cooking on a date, which will never happen. But I'm gonna take you guys through a typical rice, so basically my carb, protein, which I'm using a dry aged New York steak, and vegetable, which is asparagus, a lot of fiber, carbs in there too. The reason I'm going with a New York steak, it's a little bit leaner. It has more protein compared to how much fat it has compared to like a ribeye. I have a New York steak, asparagus, some garlic cloves, red pepper flakes, shallots, a lemon, and salt and pepper, just for flavor. With this method that I'm gonna show you guys, I'm gonna basically be making a seared steak and I'm gonna throw it in the oven. While it's in the oven, I'm gonna be cooking up the asparagus, tossing that up with the other vegetables that I do have. I think it's a pretty simple dish that you guys can easily follow along. Try it out for yourself. And if you guys wanted to calculate macros or just be able to cook a tasty meal for yourselves, definitely try this one out. So the first step, I gotta light my grill. This is always the scary part. Whew. Got it. So I've already had this steak resting for about 30 minutes outside, coming to room temp. So if you guys haven't done that, get that already started. So I'm just gonna get my pan hot and ready. When I'm cooking a steak, the most important part is making sure the pan is super hot, the steak is at room temperature and also dried. That just ensures a better crust and a better flavor building component in terms of like the Maillard reaction. Before I add salt and pepper for this one, I'll just pat dry it because I'm about to throw it right into the pan right now, making sure that this is all dry. So when I throw it in, it just starts to caramelize immediately. If you're using a grill, if you have a grill at home that you want to use, just follow the same steps. It's the same thing where I get a seasoning build and I build a crust first, and then I'll throw it into an oven. Because this is a thick steak, I'm going to season all sides, even the fat cap sides, making sure that all sides have enough flavor going throughout it. Also, I didn't mention yet, I already have rice on the pot. So right now, I'm using grapeseed oil. It just has a higher smoking point, but you could use any oil that you have around the house that you typically would cook with. Just a little bit, get that set, and I'm bringing this up to temp, so right when it gets to the smoking point of this oil, that's when I'll add the steak. Just waiting. All right, so oil's up to temp. If you're cooking on a pan, I'm using a regular pan so you guys can like see how it is. Most of you guys probably have a regular pan. If you want to use a cast iron, go for it. Cast irons are great for this too. With a New York strip, usually comes with a pretty thick fat cap, so I'm gonna cook that side first. Just about 10 to 15 seconds just to start the process of rendering the fat out, and it will add to the oil as well. If I don't hear that initial sizzle and sear, pull the steak off immediately, let it come back to temp, and then try again. This is the sound that it should make. So again, only like 15 seconds, just starting to render out the fat a bit. And we're not going for much, so just a little golden brown is what we're going for. And again, this will render out a bit more in the oven. So pull it off, and now meat side down. From here, I'm gonna let it go for about a minute to a minute 30 seconds, and without touching it. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side once I get that. And then from there, I'll constantly flip it until I get the desired color that I'm looking for. You'll know the steak is done after like a minute to a minute 30. Flipping on this side now, gently dropping it, not making sure no oil splashes on me. And repeating that step, minute to a minute 30 on this side, and then it'll be good to go. While this is cooking, I'm gonna prep some of my other ingredients. I've seen this technique done a lot where they grab an asparagus and they just bend it to where it naturally snaps. And they say that's where it's like more tender because the root end is more fibrous and tough. But you do lose out on a lot of like asparagus that is edible. The rule of thumb is just taking an inch off of it, because this is the inedible parts. I mean, it is edible, but you're just gonna be chewing a lot more. It's not gonna be able to hold on to a lot of flavor. The garlic that I have here is gonna go in whole. I just like eating garlic like that. It's a little bit easier for me, and then also you're gonna see it more in the plate, and it doesn't burn easier, especially in a hot pan like this. And shallots, I'm just cutting it in thin slices and then throwing that in once I get the asparagus a little bit charred. So another minute. Good golden brown, that's a great cut. Going back on this side for another 30 seconds at this point. And I'll probably flip it 3 times, 30 seconds on each side, and then I'll go back on the fat side and then this side that hasn't been touched by the pan yet. So I've always tried losing weight or doing like these diets that help me lose weight, but the thing I've noticed that helped me a lot was counting my macros. A lot of the times I feel like more people are kind of afraid of dieting, or they're unsure of how to do it properly, especially with the thing that I hear all the time with food doesn't taste good. I can't eat this constantly. How am I gonna eat boring food and try to lose weight? But food doesn't have to be boring. The food that you eat could be the same macros, same calories as everything you constantly are eating, but just tastes way better. It's just all on how you cook it, the cooking techniques that you use, the seasonings and flavors. And the cool thing about all the seasonings that you add, there's 0 calories. They're not adding anything extra to the dish that you can't eat except flavor. So don't be afraid of experimenting, trying, and cooking your own food, especially when it comes to meal prep, because at the end of the day, if you have a goal in mind, taking the proper precautions to trying to hit that is more in your favor and also will help you stay on track longer. So just gonna fat cap a little bit longer, and then I have an oven that's been preheated to 375, and then I'll throw it in there for about 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes. A New York steak has a lot less fat. It's a lot easier to go over your preferred doneness quicker. So compared to like another steak like a ribeye, if you've seen other cooking videos, I would typically drop it down a minute in terms of how much you want to cook it for. So right here, it's done in terms of how I want it to be seared, good color all around. And we're only gonna go in this for 5 minutes. Cool. So now, I do have a lot of asparagus here. I typically can't eat this all, but because I have other people on camera, I'm gonna cook a bunch more. So cook according to how much you're gonna eat and try to portion it out before you do. I'm gonna cut this again in half just because it's not gonna fit in my pan. And I reduced the heat from high to a medium heat, just so I can cook this without it burning and still being raw on the inside. So cutting this in half and just going straight in. We still have enough oil and fat that came off of the steak and from the initial oil that I added here that I don't need to add any more. So just give that toss for about 30 seconds before I start with my other ingredients. The garlic I don't add immediately just because it has a tendency to burn, and I don't want that burnt garlic flavor in any of my food. So I'm gonna let the asparagus go for about 30 seconds to a minute before I start throwing in the other ingredients. So we had it on for about a minute now. I'm gonna go with my other ingredients. The goal of when I cook asparagus is not to let it get super floppy. I still want that kind of texture, but I also wanna make sure that it's cooked through. Check on my rice really quick. So I'm gonna go in with some pepper, like red chili flakes, salt, just a bit because we did have salt on the steak that got left over in the pan, and same thing with the pepper. Then also fresh lemon juice. The lemon is gonna also add acid component, but it's gonna add some steam and water to help cook the asparagus a little bit more. The cool thing about this dish is while everything is being prepared, you always have time to make something else. So the whole cooking time should take less than 20 minutes. And this is like a more fancier dish than most people can typically think of for a meal prep. So 20 minutes isn't long from start to finish. Don't be afraid of testing your food, if you need more seasonings or not. Nah, that's fucking good. You wanna try a piece?
Try a piece?
Grab like one of the tops. You wanna try a piece? More or? That's good. It's good? So we let this rest for about, I'd say 8 minutes. Whatever juices come off of this, I'm gonna add on top of the asparagus, and I'm gonna cook it, continue to cook it on super low heat. There's still some juices that came off of the steak in the pan right now, so I'm gonna add that into here. Just, if we're on a diet, you don't wanna lose, it's part of the steak, so you can count this in there. And it also just transfers more flavor into the asparagus. I forgot to mention, since we're on a diet, but we drink, we're healthy. White Claw. Not sponsored, but sponsor us. So now it's time to cut into the steak. We let it rest for about 6 minutes and get to see. Hopefully, again, if you fuck up, you just fuck up. Just try to be better next time. I can fuck up. I fucked up so many steaks before, but goal is a little bit more medium rare to medium. Especially with the New York steak, they tend to do better with a little bit more done than like a rare or a medium rare. Final step is just to plate it up. So I have my rice ready here. Got the plate. And at this point, it's all depending on you, serving size, however you want to do it. Right now, I know how much I need to eat. I've done this a lot, so I'm just gonna pick and plate. If you go over, just save it for next meal. The whole point of tracking and doing all that stuff is to be on point with it. If you're not dieting, just fucking dig in and eat as much as you can. So rice was just made with a little bit of salt, pepper, olive oil, simple. But season your rice too. I feel like people forget to do that. Give me a few slices. And the asparagus. And there you have it. So this is my typical post-workout meal. And the cool thing is it also doubles as a meal if you want to cook for a date or for a party. No one's gonna not like this. People are gonna enjoy it, and no one's gonna know that it's healthy because it's not gonna taste healthy. It's all simple ingredients. It's a carb, protein, and a vegetable. Simple. We just added some extra flavors to it just to enhance it, and I'm pretty happy with this. Cool, so last thing to do is actually dig in, so I really wanna try this now. Oh, that's fucking fire. Damn, honestly, I think the star of this dish is the asparagus. That's fucking fire. Well, I hope you guys like this video. If you guys want to try it out, please do let me know in the comments below if you guys want to see more food content. Please leave a comment, and we'll make more for you guys. See you guys next time. Yo, come eat this now because it's fucking good.